Two's anchor John Pruitt spent decades covering politics, especially presidential elections. John's here live in our studio with two guests to give us some perspective on what we've seen today and what could develop over the next few hours tonight. John?
All right, yes, indeed. Jackie Gingrich Cushman rejoins us, and Tharon Jackson also joins us. Aaron ran President Obama's 2012 Southern Regional Campaign, and he's a familiar fixture in the political consultant circles. So let's begin with you, because we had a lot of Republican talk on the last go-around. You weren't here, but now you are, and Hillary Clinton is having a fantastic night, kind of sweeping the board. You've looked at the votes, and who turned out for the Democratic primary, and where is she doing particularly well?
Well, it's a great win tonight for Hillary Clinton in Georgia, and I got to give Mayor Kasim Reed big props. I mean, he called this weeks ago when he basically said that she was going to eviscerate Bernie Sanders in this state. And so the exit polls are showing us a few things, John. One, 83% of African Americans, 83%, voted for Hillary Clinton. She did very well with women between the ages of 50 and 65. And I think that also the numbers are coming in and how well she did with young voters. But to me, this is not just a mandate for Georgia. I think this election is really on the Democratic side. It wraps up tonight. I predict that Bernie Sanders will not win another state but Vermont, because this Southern firewall that we've been hearing about is real. And it's real because the Sanders campaign really failed to build a coalition that could go out and get more than just white voters. I mean, if you look at Iowa and New Hampshire, those are the two whitest states in the country. And so once they got to Nevada and South Carolina and Georgia, and as we see now Arkansas and other places, they didn't have a message. And quite frankly, he didn't have the relationship, the long-standing relationship that Hillary Clinton has with African Americans. And not just African Americans, Hispanic voters and Asian voters as well. And so again, I think Georgia spoke loudly today. This race was never, ever close. And particularly as we move on, you're going to see Hillary Clinton start talking more and more about the Republicans. I hope more and more about Donald Trump.
Yeah, she's already doing it.
Because we know that there's a circus on that side.
Does Sanders stay in the race?
I think Sanders definitely stays in the race for two reasons. One, I think he really thought that he could be president of the United States of America. And two, quite frankly, we need him in the race, because unlike on the Republican side, we're talking about issues that are important to working families. We're talking about education, and we're talking about expanding more affordable health care in this country. But more importantly, this guy has raised a lot of money, John. And so the Hillary Clinton campaign has got to be sort of delicate to this guy, because when he's no longer the nominee and no longer in the race, we want a lot of his supporters to come over and embrace Hillary.
Foregone conclusion, Hillary Clinton will be the Democratic nominee, probably going to be Donald Trump. How do Republicans feel about the Hillary Clinton-Donald Trump matchup? But a lot of people are saying this was Hillary's dream ticket. I mean, that she would clobber Trump.
I think Hillary's dream ticket, after the last go-around with Barack Obama when she lost the nomination race, I think her dream is to become the Democratic nominee. I think at that point she then worries about who the Republican contender is. She's in a very good position. It's a huge night for her. She has a very long history in the South, the First Lady of Arkansas, and a lot of work in the South, so clearly it's paid off tonight. But I think regardless of who the Republican nominee is, you still have, in my opinion, a very flawed candidate in Hillary Clinton. She is not trusted by people in general. If you look at the general population, she is seen as untrustworthy. She has ongoing issues in terms of her email scandals. I think there's a lot of questions that are unanswered. And if you look at who she's been running against, Bernie Sanders, I mean, he is on the far left. I mean, you talk about a circus. I mean, he appeals to a lot of young voters, but he clearly is not in the mainstream of America. So great night for Hillary Clinton. Big question about what Bernie Sanders does with all the money that he's raised. He's got to do something with it, and so clearly that's going to mean a difference. But I think Hillary Clinton, regardless of who she runs against on the Republican side, is a very flawed candidate.